Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lewis.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us after a disappointing result at home to Roma there. Good evening, everyone. Hang on. Thanks for joining us. I've got one listening to myself here. Again, thanks for joining us after a disappointing result at Ibrox again. To go through the game, I'm joined by Chris and Richard. Chris, how's things?
The pressing jog on Thursday night is, you say that Thursdays was Rangers nights, and it just feels like Rangers defeat nights at the moment, mate. So depressing, but like it could have been worse if Roma decided to go a second gear. It really could have been. So I suppose we take the 2-0, mate, and we move on to Sunday and see where we end up.
Richard, yourself, how's things?
I'm okay, mate. I'm all right. Feeling a bit dejected after that. It's coming to be the norm for a Thursday night, unfortunately, a minute. But I'm not doing too bad, mate. How about yourself?
I think I'm just in agreement with both of you here. We're just getting kind of used to this, isn't it? It used to be Rangers Thursdays. It's not been a Rangers Thursday in a while, that's for sure. And I don't see it changing anytime soon. Chris, just we'll obviously start at the start then. The lineup. Were you surprised by the lineup at all? Did you expect to see Trimiti in there and the likes of Moore on the left-hand side? You know, Barham was back, which I thought was a positive for Marcel. Giga was back playing in that as more familiar side as well. Anything jump out at you, or were you shocked at anything or disappointed?
No, to be honest, Joe, I wasn't at all. I thought I thought the lineup was probably as expected, but we're used to seeing him making the changes over the last few games, and there was nothing really that stood out and surprised me from a lineup point of view. But I don't know. I just feel as if at the moment we're not getting the right connection in the team at the moment in terms of the lineup. For me, I'd like to see Miovski and Danilo get a wee bit more time together up front. I think they two could maybe do something together. Okay, tonight's a tough one, Roma, but maybe league games wise, get them two up front. Gassama, I don't know. I'll probably need to come back to him and later on, Jock, if I'm being honest, because he's hit and miss for me at the moment, Gassama, and I'm just not liking it. But I tell you one thing though, right? I watching that game there tonight, and I felt the same with him in the weekend. You look at Big Giga at the back, he starts that game of football as if he's never played a game of football in his life, right? And he then, 25, 30 minutes into the game, I don't know, something must just click in this guy's brain, and he realises, hold on, I'm a footballer here, I'm a professional footballer. And he turns into Franco Baresi half the time, so he does. And I thought from 30 minutes on, I thought he strolled it. I didn't think he put a foot wrong, but see the first 30 minutes, I thought anytime my ball was getting near him, he was going to put it into the stands every two minutes. But I don't know, there's just something's not clicking, Jock, for me in this lineup at the minute, and I just don't think Danny Rose got his men. But I would like to probably, before we finish up tonight, maybe talk about Sunday a wee bit and who we think might come in for Sunday, because there's a few players in that squad I think needs to give an opportunity to. People who weren't there tonight, and I think it would be interesting to see if they come in on Sunday. But
no, I think you're right. I do think there's definitely scope, because at this point he's got nothing to lose by trying folk that he hasn't tried earlier, because he'll learn something. He'll learn if the folk that haven't been in can come in and take a spot and fight for a jersey and a starting place in the team. Scotty, thanks for joining us. Just your thoughts on then the starting lineup. Did anything jump out at you at all, or?
It's just drastic, isn't it? It's just absolutely awful, man. Like, back three. I don't know why Giga started tonight after his calamitous performance on Sunday. Magoma didn't really offer anything. Max Aaron's same on the other side. Nico Raskin, where's that player went? Where is he? All we've seen all season is maybe against Hibs in the Cup at Ibrox and a semi-final there, where he gets subbed at full time. Connor Barron, man of the match for me tonight, outstanding. Gassama needs to learn to stay on his feet. That's all right. If that falling over easily washes with referee, it didn't the night, so he should have chucked it, stayed on his feet. Because when he did stay on his feet, he had the better of their fall back and he was creating chances in the first half. Shamiti. Now, what I did notice about the big man tonight was he's doing some things better. Not £8 million worth of things, right? But he's doing the basics of the game better. And McCoy's kind of referred to that in the second half, but after his kind of stretch shot, he didn't have his footing right. What I did notice with him was he was trying to make runs and give them an outlet, but the style of play in this team is so passive that nobody was spotting the runs and nobody was using them as said outlet unless it was a long ball. Mikey Moore, an alright performance, passable, but you know, to me, Jock, I've not seen anything no season of this team in terms of an attacking performance. There's literally nothing anywhere in the park. We're toothless at the park. The goals we gave away were disgusting, man. Absolutely disgusting. As a Rangers fan to sit and have to watch that. We probably could have came away with a draw if you don't lose them 2 goals like the way we did. Not that I'm saying we deserve it, but you'd have taken a 0-0 a night before a ball was kicked, you know what I mean? And it would have gave you something to kind of hold on to. But right now, we're toothless at the back. There's nobody in midfield. Barron's trying to put a stamp on a game. Apart from that, I mean, what else have we got? Gassama's too busy lying in the flare. Shamiti's, I don't know. See if this loan rumour's true. Please just send him out on loan. Send him to St Mirren to Big Stevie Robinson. Big Stephen Robinson at St Mirren will sort Shamiti out in a heartbeat. Honestly.
Can you imagine us?
Where I'm at, to be honest with you, mate. It's murder.
Can you imagine us? That would be so Rangers to sign a player for £8 million and then loan him out in January, though, wouldn't it? Given everything that's happening in the season we've had, that would just be just the cherry on top of the cake. Thelwell's tenure or first 6 months, really, into it. Richard, then I'll just come to you as well, just on the lineup. Anybody, were you disappointed we didn't try something else, or you didn't see anybody in particular?
I wasn't surprised by it, to be honest. But I'm disappointed that I didn't see some players that I just thought deserved an opportunity. Curtis, for example, I don't think anybody, has done anything to guarantee their starting position so far. And I think that's why there's been so many changes, not just because of the first half performances, but because I think Rowe doesn't actually know his best starting 11 or his best 11 in any way, and he's trying to try out so many different players in different positions and different formations. So, far from a surprise at the start, unfortunately. And it was kind of carried on all the way through the game, to be honest. None of it was surprising. The performances weren't surprising. The mistakes weren't surprising throughout all of it. So, not for me.
Obviously, then the game started. You could see they had quality, and this is the thing. This team is a team that, even though they're sitting in Italy and the money in Italy's not what it used to be, they're still going and buying players for 25-30 million euros a pop, which is obviously a luxury that we'll not ever see in our lifetime. So the quality these guys bring in, we're always going to be up against it. So you need everybody to be at it 100% concentration. And Chris, as you say, Giga straight away, nervous. Passes weren't great. The touches weren't great. They're playing out for the back, and it's a nervy thing. And the crowd trying their best to sort of get behind the team. And then, of course, it comes to a corner, and then they get a goal. Because when it comes to zonal marking, we are guaranteed to lose one goal every game due to zonal marking, because we don't have people in the posts, or there's somebody in the system doesn't pick up an extra man, or they know to put an extra man in the box. It's going to be free, and sure enough, they get a goal from it. It's just us all over, and has been from Martin took over, but it's also a legacy thing as well from Clement's tenure as well, I would say, and maybe even going back further than that, Chris.
100%, mate. I think if Rangers are going to get a ex-player, whoever it is, coaching, there needs to be Stephen Davis, and the first thing Stephen Davis needs to do is get a man on the post every time, because that's what Stephen Davis was good at when he was at Rangers, putting a man in that post, whether it was a front post, back post. And there I go in the night. If you put a man in that post, that doesn't get in there. The guys there blocking it. The defending was shocking, Jock. I struggled. I tell you who I'm struggling with at the moment is Big Suter. I really am struggling with this guy just now, right? And I tell you why, because when he plays for Scotland, the guy puts his body in the line for everything, I think, and he comes out looking as if he's an absolute superstar. When he plays for Rangers, I don't know what's going on with him. For me, he's at fault for the second goal. He's turned off. He's let his man go. He shouldn't be letting his man go. That guy's getting behind him. He loses him, all ends up, and he's costed that second goal. And the problem is with him, 9 times out of 10, he's actually pretty good for Rangers. But when he switches off that one time and he loses the opportunity, we're just not good enough to stop it. We're not good enough to get back into it again, and we cannot afford players who are making these mistakes. And Suter for me is one who's probably been a constant in the Rangers side this season. If you look back at what's been happening, he's not really been dropped. I think he needs taken out the side. I would take him out the side for Sunday. I wouldn't put him in there for me. I think he's made too many mistakes this season. I would like to try a back four. Just go on normal. I think I've said it on here before. Go on normal 4-4-2. Right, we've got to set up to try a normal 4-4-2. Try it. Put Jigga and Cornelius as your centre backs, or even try Fernandes and Cornelius as your 2 centre backs. But for me, I think Suter needs to take a wee bit of a back seat just now. Give somebody else a chance, get them in there, and see what they can do, because he's too prone to these mistakes. And I think the level he's playing at Rangers in Europe is too big a level for him just now. Or he just can't handle the pressure. Jock, I don't know. There's something not right there, because when he goes and plays for Scotland, he plays tremendous, and he looks really a really good defender. I don't think he looks that good at all, and he's at fault for that second goal tonight for me, mate. And that killed it. Once that second goal goes in, I think the game's over with it.
Scotty, do you think Suter's maybe just at a crossroads because his contract's up at the end of the season? He's maybe just thinking, why would I put myself on the line if I get crocked and then I've no guarantee of football the end of the season? You think it?
No, Jock, I don't think he's ever been good enough, to be honest with you. Okay. I think he's a 3rd, 4th choice Rangers centre back. John Suter will come good when you need him to, in terms of if there's balls getting flung into a box, and he would either his granny. He's a siege defender. It's been pointed out many, many times, but in terms of defending his halfway line and quality in the ball and stuff like that, I think he whipped over a ball down the line for Shamiti, and he has got a good bit of has got a good range of passing in him, but for me, he's just not of the required quality needed in this team. He's not vocal enough. He's not got a good enough attitude. I mean, this guy's vice captain. He gets sold for that second goal, literally sold in it. It was just typical, normal passage of play. It was nothing amazing for Roma. You know what I mean? Giga was probably done for that as well. In terms of Suter, I wouldn't be offering him a new contract at the end of the season, Jock. I'd just be shaking hands and saying thanks for your service and letting him go to down south to a Blackburn or something, or wherever it is he would go. I don't know. Maybe back to Hearts. God knows.
Well, he could rather go to Hearts and he could be sitting champions. Richard, do you think, obviously, the turnaround of players we had in the summer there was a lot went out the door, and there was a lot of experience in terms of European experience went out the door, and obviously all the players were brought in. There's not much European experience has come in. Do you think we've lost? Well, clearly we have lost, but do you think that the recruitment should have went down a different route in terms of maybe looking at a European pedigree in terms of some of the players brought in, particularly a physicality as well to deal with the Scottish League as well as European run?
I think, to be honest, that they actually did go down a European route. I'm not saying it's clearly not worked, but I think they've bought players that they thought, that Thelwell thought was going to be more suited to European football, or certainly maybe I'm clutching at straws and trying to justify the signings that he's made, to be honest. But he's bought players that seem like on paper they're going to be better suited to European football than what they are for Scottish football, because it's clear the majority of they're not suited for Scottish football in any way, the vast majority of them. So I'm thinking, especially with ones like Chermiti and things like that, like a pacey sort of taller striker that you can get, in theory, can get in behind. That isn't Scottish football. He's not going to get the time. He's not going to be left alone. He's not going to, be able to have 2 or 3 touches in the box. So I think that's what they've tried to do, and thinking that they'll just coast it in Scottish football, and it's completely failed. And going back to the point, I think about the rumours about Chermiti going on loan in January. If he goes on loan in January, he's got to be sacked. If I'm Kavanagh, right, and I've just ploughed money in to buy a football club, and I've employed a guy to get and gave him a ton of money and made him responsible for signing players to improve our team, and the one that he spent the most money on, 5 months later, we're having to loan him out to somebody else because he's not good enough. I don't understand how you can justify someone being in their position if that's what they're going to do. With the £8 million, which, okay, may not seem a lot in the grand scheme of things in football, and even Kavanagh, it seems, has said that to the journalists that we'll spend that again. But still, when what you've spent the most money on and you're getting rid of them 5 months later, but I would be, if it was me, I'd definitely be questioning this guy's ability to do the job I'm asking him to do.
No, 100%. And the fans made their feelings known about that and multiple times throughout the game tonight, and rightly so, because again, in our sort of lacklustre performance, where Chris, as we said earlier, didn't really get out of first or second gear, we sort of huffed and puffed and went through the motions. But we were bullied at times by a team with a taller. Some of the players were so much taller than our players, and as Scotty says, there was boys rolling about in the deck where they should have stayed up because they probably would have beat them because they were quicker. But then the physicality side came into it as well, and we just looked bullied and we looked small in comparison to that Roma team.
Yeah, Joe, honestly, do you know that the frightening thing for me is there is no fight in Rangers at the minute when it comes to European football. And I look back at last season under Clermont, I look back at maybe the season before that, right? And Rangers would come on a Thursday night, Ibrox, and you would be guaranteed 9 times out of 10 that they're going to go in there and they're going to put a good fight up. Okay, we might not win every game. May lose it, may lose by odd goal, but we're going to put a fight up. We've never seen any fight from Rangers tonight. And that again is the worrying part about it. It did feel as if we were in second gear most of the night, and we just didn't want to push forward. Now, I don't know if that's a worry that they were going to get opened up if they tried to go forward too much or what. I think we probably also maybe showed Roma a bit too much respect at certain times of the game, and we stood off them far too much. Yeah. I think a couple of times, Jock, I've seen the balls getting played out in the middle from Rangers, whether it's from Gassama on one side. Second half, I think Barron tried it, he squared the ball in. We've got 2 players in the box, and when you look at the pitch, all our players are in our own half, and there's 3 players in Roma's half. That's not Rangers for me on a Thursday night. Now, I don't know if that's Danny Rule wondering, are we going to take an absolute tanking if we open up here, and he knows he's not got the players to do it, or if that's just the mentality of Rangers players at the moment. But I just feel, for me, Jock, that there's players there that, Lyle Cameron, for example, right? He's not the greatest player in the world, but he wears his heart on his sleeve and he would give you 110%. He's another Connor Barron for me, who's not the greatest player in the world, but he would go and he'll fight for you and he'll give you a lot more than what some will. Yeah. As Scotty said, Gassama for me, yeah, he's done a couple of runs and he's done a couple of things, but he's thrown himself at the ground 3-4 times tonight. And okay, he's trying to win the free kicks, but he's not going to do it because the refs know what he's done. They've caught him onto it. Yeah. And it's so frustrating to watch because there is just no fight there. I know somebody, I can't remember who put it on, somebody put a message on about Tav, and I know we give Tav a really hard time with how he is and stuff, but for me, I thought Tav was my man of the match tonight, just purely for, I thought he put a wee bit of heart and desire in. He popped up all over the pitch. I think at one point he was up at left wing, and that he was trying to fight for something. But that's the standard we've got at the moment, Jock, and it's a poor standard just now. It's not greatest performance from these guys. It's a really poor standard, and it's not the Rangers standard. So something needs to be done. I think we said it before we came on air. something needs to happen in January to get players in that are going to help us, because if we don't, forget the Europa League, it's the league is going to be our challenge here. And not even that, we've got the Scottish Cup we're going to try for, which, if you look at next season, that's the only one that comes with a Europa League place, I believe. I don't think the league gives you that anymore next season. So you've got to look at those and say to yourself, you're not winning the league, you've got to be winning the Scottish Cup at least, otherwise you're in that conference, you're for Conference League. So Rangers are in big trouble at the minute, and I know it's great with Danny Rowland and we're loving what he's trying to do, but we need to be very careful that we don't take our eye off the ball here and think that everyone's going to get better, and before you know it, it's worse, and maybe back to not the level of Martin, because that was a really bad time, but if we don't start picking up performances and we don't start actually attacking games and looking as if we want to fight in games, we could be in a lot of trouble, Rangers, here. And I don't know, we need something. We need something to turn this around positive wise, and we're just not getting it at the moment, mate.
No, 100%. You're right, and as you say, the way the league's going, and the way the performances go, and not just from us, but other teams in Scotland as well, they're struggling in Europe. They're struggling across all three competitions, whether it's Conference League, Champions League, or Europa League, and the coefficient has just completely fell off a cliff. And we will be struggling now for getting finishing second and getting a Europa League spot now if it's going to be the Scottish Cup. And as our record in the Scottish Cup, obviously, it's not been great over the last 20 years. Scotty, do you think now the focus is the league and Scottish Cup now? Then should we just completely write Europe off now, because obviously there's no chance of us doing much with the games that are left, and the games that we had at the start were obviously traditionally we should have picked up points, and I think last year we probably would have got at least 6 points out of the first 3 games under Clement.
Aye, Europe's gone. Europe's just a bonus now it's always a bonus, but just don't finish bottom. Aye. Just do not finish bottom. That's your target now. That's how far we've fell, Joe. Yeah. League, I don't know. There's two sides I've seen to Danny Rowe, right? He was able to get us a win at Killie, and then we got that win at Hibs, and I think that gave everybody a good kind of boost in terms of how they were feeling. And then Sunday happened, and there's a few questionable decisions, like Raskin coming off at 90th minute. I think he's querying an ankle knock and things. There was other subs I wasn't in things in game I wasn't sure about, but then he was down to 10 men, and any night you're looking at certain things in his starting lineup as well. Did they get it right? I don't know. Should Giga have started? There's wee things that are starting to pop up, and you know what? What I will say is, in both games he's been in at half time and he's changed it, and we came out and we looked better in the Old Firm on Sunday, and we looked better tonight after we came out for half time. But he needs to learn quickly that we can't have to wait at half time all the time, if that makes sense. I'm not putting pressure on him. I'm not saying roll out. I'm not saying anything like that at all. I'm quite happy to give the guy at least to the end of the season to see what he can do. Dado Porto's blue boots is just, come on, still no Martin looks terrible. Exactly. Set pieces is basic. I want Billy Dodds in as his third coach. Billy Dodds took set pieces off when he was intern with Barry last year. Done a fine job. Worked with strikers as well. No bother at all with no issues scoring goals. I think we need that almost like a kind of Jimmy Nicholl level of experience, and I think Billy Dodd kind of falls into that category now, just because he's managed, he's been a coach, he knows both roles, he's a pundit, blah blah blah. He's been about Scottish football, and he's got the most experience. That's who I would be going for. I wouldn't even be interviewing anybody else. I would just be going and getting Billy Dodds, because I think Billy Dodds is the safest pair of hands just now. We've got a young coach in Danny Rowe. We don't need another one, and Neil McCann coming in to be part of the setup, in my opinion. My opinion only. So, to me, this appointment is crucial because he needs experience to get in his ear here about the league. If we're actually going to do anything within the league, Jock, it's important. So we'll just need to wait and see how it all pans out.
So he just needs to take the short term suffering and then just learn from it. Use what because he obviously said he's got his European games and he's got his first taste of the Old Firm as well. He's got his first taste of what happens in Old Firms when there's certain referees in play as well. He's had quite an enlightening first month as a Rangers manager.
I just think he needs to get it right in terms of the basics. Like set pieces is something that could be fixed by now. And while I'm not criticising him, that's a couple of goals. We conceded 2 goals for set pieces at the weekend, and we've conceded a goal a night for a set piece. And it's a basic. The night is just a basic not going in a flick going to a back post and that falls to the coaching staff. Can't blame Kevin Thelwell for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't blame the manager either, but I'm kind of getting tongue twisted here now because I'm trying not to go after Danny Rowe, but what I'm saying is there's a couple of questions that have came up for me.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I think everybody gets that. Richard, then, do you think, as Scotty touches on there, obviously looking at a Scottish coach, he's talked about it, do you think not getting somebody in sooner is hampering them?
Difficult to say, but it's still really early in his tenure. He's only been in charge for a handful of games. As every manager says, when you're playing pretty much Thursday, Sunday, you don't get much time on the training pitch. So obviously with the international break coming up relatively soon, you'd hope that he's going to be able to, impress more of his thoughts and his style on the team. I don't really think we know that he's going to bring in, I would say a Scottish coach, but someone with a Rangers experience as part of his team. But what we don't know is what that individual's role's actually going to be. Does he want somebody in just so that he can have a better understanding of just Scottish football, or better understanding of Rangers mentality and the way in which what the fans' expectations are, or does he want somebody in that's actually going to be involved heavily as a coach? Difficult questions for getting the right individual, but I don't really think having it there has really hampered him, to be honest, because most of the players, have been there for quite a while. I don't really think the Scottish coach would be passing more information about Sunday's Old Firm than what Tav would, for example, has been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I don't really know exactly how much of an influence that's going to have or would have had in the last few games. But it's something that I do think that he needs long term, because players come and go. It's players that have been there for a few years, they're going to probably leave at the end of the season. So he's going to need somebody to keep that continuity. But I don't think it's hampered him so far in his tenure.
Okay, fair. That's a fair point. Folks, I just want to give a shout out to our pod sponsor, which is the Bluebells Bar in Puerto del Carmen. They're a family-friendly pub. You eat, drink, chill, party, and yes, they show every Rangers game live. So if you're heading over to Lanzarote, go ahead and give them your business, because they're good blue noses over there. Chris, or Scotty, go on ahead. You mute it, mate.
I just want to answer this comment quickly, because these players have been through the same. These players have been the same through several managers. No, they've not, because we've had several different players under all these managers. We've had at least 10 players in and out for the last 3 or 4 years. So I wasn't blaming Danny Rowe at all. I actually think Tav could do a job in the Midley Park. And it was probably, as Chris says, he was one of our better players tonight. And on Sunday, I thought he led by example. And this season, may I add, I think he's led by example. When he's been bad, I've called it out. But we need to get away from this this mentality we seem to have as a fan base, that these players have lost an R Cup or sold us down the river again. It's different players every season. There's at least 6 or 7 different players in that team every single season. So I don't buy it that it's always these players that are selling us down the river. This team, yes, has sold us down the river this season, and last season's team sold us down the river, but it's not been the same consistent players doing it for the last 3 or 4 years, if that makes sense. And you could use that when you'd like Borna Barisic, John Lundstrom, etc. there. But they left 2 years ago now. They've been away for, do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to clarify that.
That was the core, Scotty. That's the core of players I was going to say that has seen off, that was, obviously seen off Van Bronckhorst. Some of them seen off Clement and then Beale as well. There was a spine of that team that needed gutted maybe 2 or 3 years, probably 2 years before, long overdue. And they hung around too long, and then majority of them end up going for nothing. When you look at Morelos and Kent, we had that opportunity to sell for money, we didn't, and ultimately we lost them for nothing, and that was on the previous board's tenure. Chris, we'll move on then for tonight. So we could beat with a Roma team that, as we said there, they barely got out of second gear, didn't need to. Comfortably won the game, and I think if they went up another couple of gears, they would have been on another hiding if they really wanted to. Looking forward to the weekend. What sort of changes are you looking for? Are you looking to see for me? I would love to see a bit more of a Scottish tinge put into the team. Yeah. Curtis, Cameron, Barnes starting, and just try something different.
Exactly, that's exactly it. But I think Cameron for me has to start on Sunday. I think he's not going to. Let's be honest, right? Unless Danny Rule goes a rabbit, he's not going to start. But he needs to get some game time, as far as I'm concerned, because he's a young Scottish player who, when he was in the beginning under Russell Martin, you could see Cameron bringing something to us, and I think he would be one of the players we need to look at on Sunday, give an opportunity to. You're right, Barron. I would have Barron in there still as well. And maybe even go Diamonde. So maybe Diamonde, Barron, and Cameron as your middle three. Somebody's obviously said Bayrami. Look, he was the next player I had on my list. I said it the last pod I was on last week when it was Hibs. For me, Bayrami's a real quality player. Right? He just needs to be played in the right position for me. And anytime Rangers have played him just off that front man, or whatever it would be, he's turned it on and he's performed, and he's a really tricky player, and I think he would do really well for us in there. So if Barami comes back into it, you could see him in there. I think we need to try. I like drop the three at the back. I do like that, right? I think it's worked okay, and I think we'll look a wee bit more steady. But I'm a traditionalist. I want to see a 4-4-2. I want to see us get back to basics, right? We've got the ability with two wingers. We've got Gassama you could put in the left, Ant-Man you could put in the right. Have your two midfielders, whether it's Barron and Cameron, or Barron and Diamonde, or Barron and Raskin, whoever it may be, or Bayrami and Barron, whoever it is, have them as your two, and put two up front, right? Let's try a 4-4-2, see what happens, and go to Dundee and try and get a wee bit of confidence in before the international break, try and put a few goals in. We need to try something different, and I think if Danny Rowe wants to really say, right, I'm giving everybody an opportunity, this is the type of games he's got to try, and he's got to try something a wee bit different. But in saying all that, Jock, and I'm probably people are thinking I'm going to contradict myself here, is Sunday's a massive game now. It really is massive, because as Scotty said, the leagues are bread and butter, right? And we need to start picking up wins and picking up points. If we can pick up a good away win on Sunday, and you put a few goals on as well, you go into your national break with a wee bit of confidence, then you come back 2 weeks with Danny Rowe and them players and see what happens, and you come back. It could make all the difference. So for me, it's a huge game. So he's either going to try and continue as he is and use the experienced players he's got and the experienced formation, or he needs to try something majorly different. But just to Scotty's point when we were talking a minute ago about tonight, I don't blame anything on Danny Rowe. This isn't a Danny Rowe issue, right? Danny Rowe has got to be given time. Scotty said at least till the end of the season before we can start judging him. I don't think we can do that beforehand. You maybe even want to turn around and say you need to give him a season and after that as well to even properly judge him. The thing I like about Danny Rowe is that he's not scared to make a change. He's willing to change it up. He's willing to try something different. And let's be honest, we've been crying out for that for a while. Even with thing like Clement, for example, he always tended to stick to his same stuff and his same formations and didn't really change away from it. At least we've got a manager here who is willing to try something different. And I think that's where we will come good in the league. We will get a better reaction in the league. I just think at the minute, the European performance or the European attempts is just too much for us just now, and I don't see us getting anywhere. And I would be looking at that. What is it? 4 games we've got left. We need, 12 points as a minimum. I think we're probably need to go to win 4 games there, right? Let's be honest, we're not going to go and win the next 4 games of the Europa League. So use that to try different things. Use it to try different formations. Just don't take a scudding. And I don't think it will take too many scuddings in it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Sunday. I'm looking forward to seeing how we set up. But I would like to see a wee bit of change. And if he changes it and it goes well, great. If it doesn't, at least we can say we tried something different and we're not starting to the same old again.
Scotty, do you think we should be looking at changing the back line? Do you think we should stick with the 3 or as Chris says, traditional, go to the 4? Because I'm just reading a stat here. Rangers have kept a clean sheet in just 5 of their 23 matches this season. 5.
I heard Coisty talking on Co-Coms tonight about the size of the Roma team. And you've got what Tights Fernandez, 6'7" or something, isn't he?
6'4", I think.
Aye. 2.5 million just sitting there on the bench now. 2.5 million is nothing in a day's market, right? But for Sunday, I would probably be going keep it back 3, but to have Fernandez and Cornelius. Cornelius has been fairly solid for me.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't start tonight.
Aye. You need to give these guys a chance as far as I'm concerned. I think that's the stage we're at now. 3 points is obviously a must as well, but we should be able to control Dundee, and Fernandez will give us that physical presence in both boxes for Dundee. So I would probably stick with the 3 just now, but my main concern, Jock, is going forward. What have we got going forward? How are we going to score a goal? Seen it under Russell Martin, we didn't create enough chances. It's kind of the same under Danny Rowe. That's when he needs time in the training pitch to be able to fix. I think press will work better against Dundee on Sunday. It worked really well against Kilmarnock and Hibs. But tonight, you could see Roma were a class above, even more or less a second string team. I mean, some of their injuries they had, like Leon Bailey and stuff, was a bit frightening. But see just the way they passed the ball about the back and the space that they created, that nullified what we've got in an attacking sense, if that makes sense in my eyes anyway.
No, I agree. I see what you're saying. I do get it. Richard, what are you looking then on Sunday? What's your ideal scenario here from what we've got to pick from?
With regards to the players, I think I agree with some of what Scotty said. For me, Giga's got to come out. I know Chris said the same about Suter, but Suter for me, he's making mistakes, but he's not making the glaring mistakes that Giga's. When Giga's making simple glaring errors, like being able to control the ball, like you've seen on Sunday, and just went under his foot. So if I had the choice between Giga and Suter, I'd be starting Suter for me. And why not throw Fernandez in? Let's see what he can do. The longer he doesn't play, the more it's glaringly obvious that this guy's not going to cut the mustard, to be honest. I want to see Finlay Curtis get a start.
Yep.
I think every time he comes on, he's not done anything amazing, but you can see the effort and the drive and the will that he's busting a gut for the team, but also trying to prove that he's worthy of a start and to make an impact. So start him for a game. Let's see what he does, because right now there's nobody in the team really that you would say deserves to start. There's nobody that's on a great run of form. There's people that have shown it in glimpses, but nobody for me is an out-and-out starter. So it wouldn't surprise me if the entire lineup was changed. If only we had enough players or enough good players to do that. In the forward line, Miovski scored a couple of goals, but otherwise I've not seen anything brilliant. Danilo hasn't scored that many goals, but showed in glimpses what he can do. And Chermity's sometimes like Bambi on ice, but you can see in glimpses that there might be a player there. So I would kind of still want him to play, give him a few more opportunities. you know, to see if he's actually going to be worth that 8 million and hopefully doesn't go out on loan. But I'm not. Sad thing is, I'm not expecting wholesale changes. And since Rowe came in, you know, people are getting behind him, and I'm no way getting on his back and anything like that. But what the improvement has been is there's been more desire. We've been working harder as a team. But that's it so far. There hasn't really been any other great improvements. The players haven't really improved that well. All we've just seen is a little bit more heart and fight. Unfortunately, on Sunday, it didn't happen from the start. It happened after we went a goal and a man down. But that we weren't getting that before under Russell Martin, so that's where he's improved. But for me, that's it so far. You know, and there's not been any great improvements with the players. He doesn't really know his best formation or his best side. So who knows what would happen, but what am I hoping to see? In some ways, a miracle. But I just want to see more consistent performance and some players to actually take a game by the scruff of the neck so that you can say, right, he's done well, he deserves to be on the team sheet next time.
Yeah, I see. I get that, Chris. I suppose it's not really hard to obviously improve on what was in front of our eyes in the first part of the season, was it? You know, obviously, because what we were seeing was dross and players just look feared on the ball, but and they looked like there's too much going on. You know, there's too much instruction there, and they just weren't able to execute Russell Martin's game plan and vision.
Right. Joe, my worry is how much damage Russell Martin's done to these players. That's where the worry comes in this one. Again, to Richard's point, there's nobody there taking the bull by the horns and really grabbing a hold of the game. That's what Asgard was meant to be brought in for. That was his whole position, was to be able to do that. And he's been really, really disappointing. He's not done anything of no other than the good goal he scored a few weeks back against Dundee United. He's not done anything. And that's what Rangers are really missing. So Raskin was the guy who did that last season. He would get you by the scruff of the neck and he would get the game going. He hasn't done that recently. He's not done it since the Hibs game where he scored. So we're just really, really lacking at the moment. And yeah, we've seen a wee bit more desire. We've seen a wee bit more fight in the last few games, the Kilmarnock game, the Celtic game, and then obviously the Hibs game as well. But it's the whole going forward thing for me. I just think there's something in the players that maybe there's a fear there that we are going to get opened up, and there's a fear that we're going to take a hiding at some point if they open up too much. And we've seen that tonight with some of the chances. We created some really, really good chances tonight. I think there was 2 or 3, but there was just nobody on the other end of it. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
I want to come back to Big Chermiti if I can, because I know we said at the start we gave him a bit of a hard time, Joe, and rightly so. Listen, the guy needs a bit of a hard time. I think there's a player in there with him, right? And I think if he's given the time, and it's hard because you can't get the time at Rangers, right? You need to be hitting the ground running. But when you look at the guy, he's got some powerful shot on him. He's got a really good effort on him, and he had the chance, in the first half, just after Roma scored, and he's put it wide at the post. It wasn't far off. That goes into the back of the net. It boosts his confidence. You see what happens with it. He's been through in the second half, running through and going, okay, he's missed out. His body shape wasn't right and his feet wasn't right. But there is something there. I just think we maybe need to persist with him a wee bit longer. I wouldn't be putting him out on loan in January, because I think if you put him out on loan in January, as Scotty said, you'd be sacking Thelwell before you put him out on loan, because that's just unbelievable. But there is something there, I think, and I think we just need to find the right players around him to maybe bring out his qualities, because there is something in him. But and look, he should be able to score goals in the Scottish Premier League. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do it. And the player has size and the player has physicality, should be able to go and do it. So for me, it's interesting. I think he might get the nods. I think if Danny Rose want to make him feel that wee bit special and trying to do it, he might get the nod on Sunday. And look, let's see what happens with it. I'm laughing at that comment that's just come in about the Wraith Rovers one, but I don't know. I just think there's something there. We maybe just need to give a wee bit of time to him. And the challenge he's going to have is you don't get the luxury of time at Rangers, especially if you're not scoring goals. But I thought he held the ball up a little bit well. Had an unlucky couple of chances. Let's see how the boy does. But I just maybe think, what is it? I can't think he's 21, 22. Is that what he is? Something. He's young. He's still a young boy at the moment. got a big price tag over his name. I just think I honestly think it'd be crazy to put a boy out on loan you just went and spent that amount of money for 4 months ago. I don't see the benefit in that at all. I don't see where he's going to get any benefit from it. If he can't hack it now, he's never going to hack it. So he needs to be here, fight for his place, and see where he ends up.
I think you're right. I think if he did do that, I think it's career suicide, isn't it? You have no credibility in the bank now. It's just, this is a massive cluster. Hold your hands up and just take your P45 and get the door. Scotty, you want to circle back to a point Richard made?
Aye, that was earlier on, Jock.
Do I leave it then?
I've done it already. I just want to get a quick shout out to Laura's wee boy Hunter, who's watching the pod. He's stayed up late, so he could tune in and watch us for ramble on about tonight's game. Hope you're well, wee man. What do you want me to talk about, Jock?
Well, we'll keep it short because we're going to wrap up shortly. So just give your closing thoughts then. How you feeling then overall, and where we're going to go for here for Sunday?
Just winning Sunday. Make it 3 league wins and a bounce. Keep his stability back. Keep a clean sheet. Get a couple of goals up front, and I'll be happy. I mean, that's all I'm really wanting just now, to be honest with you. With two important games, we've not won either of them. We're probably out of both competitions now, but we're definitely out of one. The other one we're still languishing at the bottom unless somebody else has took a scheme boot in the night that I don't know about. But in terms of Europe, it's damage limitation now, so just focus on winning matches in the league. Get Danny Rowe to learn his craft in the league, get to know what grounds are like, how teams play against you, etc., etc. But get a coach in that's going to be able to educate you on that and warn you about what's coming. I know he's dead detailed and he does dossiers and all this kind of stuff and whatever. He does look at the opposition, whereas Russell Martin didn't. But that still doesn't give you the on the pitch experience. So that's the one thing, the international break we need to get sorted, Jock, is this third coach. Tonight we were just outclassed, but I feel as if the goals were very soft. It's the nicest way to do it.
I think you're right. I do think that the goals were certainly avoidable, and we gifted them the 3 points. We just made it too easy. Richard, just yourself then. Just summarise how you're feeling, and then obviously what you're looking forward to the most on Sunday.
How am I feeling? Nowhere near as dejected and disappointed as I was on Sunday. So let's say even coming into this game, I was pretty much, assuming that we were out of Europa League anyway, so it was a bonus. Disappointed that we didn't pull a miracle off tonight, but for Sunday, obviously we need to win. That's what Rangers are all about: winning games of football, especially domestically. But I want to see an improvement. I want to see us start the game, the way that we've been finishing games domestically. I want to see us start, put them on the back foot, get an early goal. That'd be something, and just see players that show the desire that they want to be in this team regularly. They want to not just fight for the place, but they want to own it. That's what I'm looking for. Not too sure I'm going to get it, mind you.
Well, it's not an easy place to go to, is it? Because their pitch is usually diabolical, isn't it? So it's obviously they've got that sort of marker against us.
Can it be an excuse though?
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. It's going to be a slog, a game. They'll make it hard work, and like you say, the players will need to fight and need to scrap, and they'll need to want to win this game. So it will be interesting to see how they try and do that on the pitch and get themselves up for Sunday, because again they're coming off another disappointing result, 2 in the bounce, as Scotty says. So there's there is work to be done. I think you're right. Just focus, getting points on the board, then come in for the international break, because he's going to have plenty of time with the boys that aren't going away, time to get to know them, because as I said there last night in the pod, it's been a case of match, travel, match, light session, it's every 2-day games, every 3-day games, and you just have no real time to get to know everybody personally, whenever you get that, spend that time with them. So hopefully they get to do that, and then they can try and just make their way through it, and then we can go on a good run up to Christmas, because the games come thick and fast again. A good run of when's the next international match? Is it February? So there's a good March.
February,
March.
yeah.
There you go. Then. So there's the best. Got to 4 months worth of football to be played there. So there's plenty still to change, and plenty of games to come up, particularly Scottish Cup as well coming up. So, Chris, you want to say something?
Just one thing I was going to say, and I hope a lot of Rangers fans will agree with me on this one. One thing you're going to get from Dundee is a hard game, right? Regardless of where they're at and who they've got, or you're going to get a really hard game from them. Let's not make any bones about it. This game's going to be tough on Sunday, right? And I think we've seen that at the start of the season when they came to Ibrox. They'll sit in with men behind the ball. But if you just watch the game they had against the other half of the city a few weeks ago, you look at the fight and the desire of the Dundee players that they put in that day, right? And they were head and shoulders above anything. They could have beat any team that day because their fight and desire. And see, if you've got a team that's wanting to fight and they've got more desire and they've got more will to win, doesn't matter who's on the pitch, you're going to give them a game, right? So if Rangers don't, the big thing for me is we can talk about lineups and we can talk about who's there and who's starting and who's not all day, every day. But if Rangers don't turn up to that game on Sunday with a bit of fight about them, a bit of desire to go and get the 3 points, we're going to come down the road with nothing, because that's something that Dundee, regardless of how they are playing, whether they've went on a losing streak or not, or whatever it is, they're going to be there fighting for their lives, and they're going to want to make sure that Rangers don't come away with anything. So I think it's a really tough game. It's a big game for Rangers, because if you win and you go into the international break full of confidence, we come back. I think we've got a home game straight away. Is it the first home game or the first game back is a home game? So again, that gives you another opportunity to put points on the board. So Rangers can go into this really good. If you don't, you go into it in a downer. You think what's going to happen next, where it's at. You never know what Hearts do with the extending the lead or whatever. So for me, this is crucial. And I think we said that a few weeks ago, Jock, that these set of games, take away maybe the Roma one, but the Celtic, the Hibs, the Kilmarnock, this Dundee game, these are really crucial games for Rangers. And as much as we might think it's just Dundee, we just need to be really careful that if we don't put the right attitude through, we're not going to come away with the points. Just really quickly as well, somebody's put a comment, Kavanagh looked unhappy with the performance. Look, I think Andrew Kavanagh, for me, really quickly, has got a big decision to make. No, Thelwell has to go, and I think he's heard the rumours, or he's heard the chants again tonight. But look, Thelwell needs to put his hand in his pocket again. Kavanagh needs to put his hand in his pocket again come January, because if he doesn't, and we are left with the same squad that we've got, it's not going to be Thelwell they're going to be shouting to get. It'll be Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers, because they need to rectify them in this window. So hopefully they do that, and hopefully we can plod on over the next few games. But it's going to be tough, mate. It really is.
No, you're spot on. Like you said, where the fans' attention is going to turn, because we need to obviously back roll in this January window and try and bring in some more firepower, because it's sorely needed. And as you say, obviously these come in and the takeovers come in, and the wind has been knocked out the sail of this takeover, and any hype and all that's completely gone, and it's probably gone with Russell Martin, as a nice, being honest. But here we are. Folks, we're closing in nearly on an hour here, so I'm going to say thanks to everybody for coming and joining and watching. Just before we go, I want to give a shout out to our competition winner, Chris Rusk, who won the 4 kit competition that we were running on all our socials there. So Chris, congratulations. Get a picture sent into one of our channels so we can share it with everybody, and then keep an eye out on more competitions, because we'll keep running stuff like this to keep the channel growing across all our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and that. So I'll give a shout out then again to Chris, Scotty, and Richard. Thanks for coming on. So Richard, I'll start with you. Thanks for having us, mate. Thanks for coming on and giving us your thoughts and your time.
Always a pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Scotty, the boss man, thanks for giving up your time as well.
No, cheers, Jock.
And Chris, again, thanks for your insight. Always good to have you on.
No, brilliant, Jock. And look, can I just give a big shout out to everyone that's commented and watched as well, Jock, because without these guys coming on and watching and putting comments in, this show's nothing without the fans. So thanks for everyone after a hard game coming on and listening to us rabble for the last hour or so. It's greatly appreciated to see everyone here.
Nope, absolutely spot on. I just reiterate what Chris is saying. Thanks everybody for coming on and watching us and listening. Have a good moan at the current state of the club and the night's game. So we look forward to Sunday. Hopefully we get a more positive performance, and say we'll obviously do a pre-match and post-match review on Sunday as well. So look out for that. And it's just up for me to say every night's a Rangers Journal night. Thanks, folks. See ya.